Manchester City 0, Liverpool 2 it finished yesterday. I was quite busy the last week, so didn't quite get around to doing match reviews for the Wolves and Villa games, but what a game to return to. 2-0 win for Liverpool. We've now beaten City twice this season, doing the double over them. That's 2-0 twice, Pep. But yeah, really, really impressive win. It's one of those ones that slots quite nicely into that category of stuff of champions because it was just so calm, so collected. It was just very, very comfortable for us. And listen, City had a lot of possession, they had a lot of chances, but they never really truly threatened, and it never felt like that game was getting away from us at any point. Like, it's a very tough fixture. We hadn't won at the Etihad in the Premier League since 2015, almost 10 years ago to the day where we did it. We beat them in the Champions League at their ground once in that time, but it's been a place we've struggled, and for good reason. They've been absolutely phenomenal under Pep Guardiola, and of course, this season's been a bit of an off year for them, but you knew they'd want to step up their game for this kind of fixture, and we made sure that they just couldn't do much with it. We were strolling around the Etihad. Like, just let that sink in. The game really was the Salah Szoboszlai show, wasn't it? They got a goal and assist each, and really there was so much more as well outside of those, creating a lot of opportunities. But I've seen the comparisons online as well, like Gerard Torres, and I'm here for it because the way they linked up all game, they were just absolutely in their element and so clinical with the two goals we did score, because our opportunities were quite limited in terms of like the actual shots we got on goal in the end. There weren't too many, and they were just very much clinical in the moments that we did create. For Salah, it makes it 41 goal involvements in 27 Premier League appearances, which is absolutely and utterly ridiculous. We're still in February, and this man is well on his way to becoming a favourite for the Ballon d'Or this year. And honestly, it's one of those things where he's had these golden patches before, but to do it this long for a season, and he's not really had a rut yet. He had very small dry streaks, but so far it's just so ruthless from him. And this is now the 11th Premier League game this season where he has both scored and assisted. It is just bonkers the kind of records he is gunning for. And listen, he has shown no signs of slowing down. And then for Szoboszlai, he was just absolutely everywhere that game. He was so clinical in the moments for the two goals, obviously scoring one, assisting one. He very nearly had another assist as well, and narrow offside, disallowing him being offside for that assist for Curtis Jones, which would have made it 3-0 as well. And that's the kind of end product we've been craving to see more of, and we're starting to see it come again. I think it was away to Spurs. He had a real stellar performance as well. He's had a few more of these kind of creeping up and really upping his game, but obviously the big part of his game that we know about as well is just that relentless running off the ball. But he elevated that to another level for this match. He was absolutely everywhere, even in the dying moments of the game. We're talking about the last 5-10 minutes when the result was pretty much set. City didn't look like they were going to do anything. He was still huffing and puffing, lung-busting runs, covering the lengths of the pitch to get everywhere. And there was like a camera pan to him at the end of the match, just collapsed on the floor, breathless. And it was chef's kiss, because it was just like, that is a man who just worked his arse off all game for us. And yeah, that goes up there with probably one of his best performances in a Liverpool shirt. Obviously, though, despite being a really good win, it wasn't perfection all round. There were a couple of performances that really did worry me, with Trent being one of them. Dribbled past Doku, I think, 8 times alone in that first half. A Premier League record. I remember the stat coming up from Sky Sports at the time and watching it at the pub. And it's one of those stats where it's obviously as a standalone, it doesn't mean absolutely everything, because it depends where those dribbles go. I remember there was a similar one when we played City last season where Doku just absolutely rinsed him, but then a lot of the time he was getting around him but being shown outside, and then it led to nothing. So it's really important where that dribble goes, but watching him get skinned over and over again was not pleasant. And I think it was later in the second half where he had one of those moments again where his head just started to drop. He seemed to get a bit into his head, and he just stopped making the kind of covering runs. It's like, okay, someone's beating you, or you made a little sloppy pass or something, but you've got to be chasing those down still. And I don't like seeing that creep into his game. It does look like he just loses his head a little bit sometimes. And yeah, it was not one of his finest days. The other performance was Luis Diaz, just out on the left, another really ineffective game from him. He looks a shadow of what we saw from him at the start of the season, which was just so promising of, is Diaz finally going to kind of turn that page and reach that kind of next level? But he's retreated a little bit back to the Diaz of old, kind of end product lacking, a lot of dribbles that just weren't really leading anywhere, running into kind of no one. He had one really good moment in the second half where he finally gets that cut in and just unleashes a venomous shot, tipped just over the bar, I believe, by Edison. But other than that, it was just a lot of running into nothingness. And there was one moment where he went on like a bit of a dribble, tries to take his man on and just kind of trips over the ball and loses it. And it's a bit embarrassing, but it was kind of, a bit of a summary of what's happening with him at the moment. And he's a player who, like I say, at the start of the season was so impressive. We shouldn't forget that. And I just really hope he does rediscover that form, because we need as many people firing now as possible as we try to make this charge for the title. I mean, who better to say it than Mohamed Salah himself? Him and the big guys, they need another Premier League title. Some of these guys who've been at our club, performed at such high levels and been so unfortunate to miss out on two Premier League titles by a point each time. They need another Premier League medal under their locker. They deserve it, and they were close last season. Again, fell off towards the end. Ended up, I think, 9 points behind the eventual champions in City. We've got an 11-point gap at the top of the table. Obviously, Arsenal have a game in hand. But with their loss coupled with us winning, the momentum has just really swung our way at the perfect time. We have to capitalise. We have to just really storm towards this title now. No looking back. No thinking about, this many points. Just keep winning, keep going, and knock it out the park. Forget another last day drama, man. Let's just get this one wrapped up and done, and hopefully then focus on the Champions League as well.